the Army Welfare Trust, and he has also served as advisor to the President of National Defense University, Islamabad. I would request President IPRI Ambassador Dr. Raza to please come on the stage to deliver his welcome remarks.
औज़ु बिल्लाहि समीउल अलीम मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। सब तारीफ़ें अल्लाह के लिए जो तमाम जहानों के रब हैं, आक़ाए कुल मुख्तार कुल हैं। सलाम हो रसूल पाक सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम उनकी आल पे, सब इंसानियत पे, मुमलिकत खुदादाद पाकिस्तान पे और आप सब पे जो यहाँ पे बैठे हैं। बहुत शुक्रिया आप लोगों के तशरीफ़ लाने का। मैं जानबूझ के शुरू उर्दू में किया है। मैं चूँकि जज्बात का इजहार मेरा ख्याल बेहतर उर्दू में हो सकता है। सो इंग्लिश उर्दू मिक्स, मुझे पता है कि एम्बेसडर भी इसी तरह ही बोलेंगे। एम्बेसडर की तो खैर जो कैपेबिलिटीज़ हैं, दे आर मच मोर देन मी इन द लिंग्विस्टिक्स। He is one of those Pakistani peoples who has not only learned a language, but he has mastered that language. He has written books on how to learn Chinese, how to translate it, and he can speak so good Chinese. I was astonished in one of the sittings. We were in Serena, I think, or Marriott. There was a sitting on China. तो उसमें दो चीज़ें हुई। एक चीज़ ये हुई कि when the Chinese anthem was played, national anthem was played, so it didn't play. Something went wrong. So he, along with other Chinese, they chanted. They actually, what you call it, sang the Chinese national anthem without music in Chinese. And then after that, when he started speaking, I heard someone in Chinese, and वो बाद में समझा कि ambassador Chinese में सारी speech कर रहे हैं. तो माशाल्लाह, he's very good in that language also. I came to know about him when I was ambassador in Mauritius. I went to Mauritius in 1915 as ambassador. So when I was there, there was a driver by the name of Samad. I don't know whether he was there or you remember him or no. So he used to be my driver. लोकल लोग होते हैं, वेल कनेक्टेड होते हैं एज एम्बेसडर्स। अभी दुरानी साहब हैं, बाकी एम्बेसडर्स इधर बैठे हैं। तो लोकल लोगों को भी आप यूज़ करते हैं कॉन्टेक्ट्स बिल्ड करने के लिए, इन रोड्स बिल्ड करने के लिए, टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट दिस सोसाइटी इज़। सो आई आस्क्ड हिम हु वाज द बेस्ट एम्बेसडर बिफोर मी. So he named him. I had not met him. He was there for about 4 years, if I'm not wrong, in Mauritius. So I asked him what were the things which he did. So he narrated few things. ये करते थे, ये करते थे. He used to do this, he used to do that. And I emulated many things from that talk with Samad. वो फिर लादा कहानी कैसे we proceeded. But that is how I came to know him in his absentia as a person who had left Mauritius long time back, but his work resonated and his good reputation resonated there. Then I came back, met him here and all that. He has written, if I'm not wrong, 6 to 7 books already. I've read this book very thoroughly. I've read his other books also. Actually, what I admire is his passion. The passion which he writes. He puts his soul through pen on the paper. So that's very admirable. It's a very good book. I have read it, not read it once. I have read few pages again and again. The miracle which China has performed by lifting 800 million people from poverty in 31 years is unprecedented. You see the website, you see the World Bank report, they write it, unprecedented in the history, that so many people lifted out of poverty in such a short time. And by 2020 and 21, the poverty in China has become zero. And China, which China? Sir, welcome. Lucky to have you, sir. Thank you. And China, that China in 50s, where perhaps millions died because of famine. And Pakistan was a very prosperous country in 50s, you know. We were role model for many in the region, in Middle East, and there are so many stories, you know it already. How we helped our friendly countries to stand on their feet, to organize their things, to create their various institutions. People used to come here and study. And there was a time when Pakistan was progressing at the speed of 8%, 8% plus. So, aaj hum kidhar hain? This is very important to see. I'm sorry, I had to shift to English, sir, because we have the diplomats also here. One thing which struck me the most, Deng Xiaoping. Deng Xiaoping, I see since long, he is kind of a role model for not only me, for many. But what he said was that to be poor or to remain poor, meaning of the thing is not part of socialism. And if socialism allows you to have one duck, why can't you have two ducks? And so many other things. So it's a long story which he will narrate. I think there is a lot which Pakistan can emulate. There is a lot Pakistan can do. The only thing required is, I think, 2-3 things. Strong leadership, continuous focus, and discipline, as Brigadier Rashid was talking, abhi hum dur baithe the, discipline and continuity, I think, are the key to success. Sir, thank you so much for accepting the invite. Acha, it was very difficult to kabufy him. He was not coming. So, I tried 2-3 times. So this time, I am grateful to you, sir, that you came. Thank you so much, sir. Back to Mariam.
Thank you, President. Before we move on to hear from our honorable guest, Ambassador retired Syed Hassan Javed, please allow me to introduce him. Ambassador Hassan is a retired officer of the Foreign Services of Pakistan. He joined the government service in 1979 and served in different diplomatic assignments in Zimbabwe, Tajikistan, and Brussels. Ambassador Hassan also served as Pakistan's High Commissioner to Mauritius and Singapore. He was also Pakistan's ambassador to the Federal Republic of Germany and spent nearly a decade in People's Republic of China in 2 prestigious diplomatic assignments. Ambassador Hassan has also authored many books including Chinese Made Easy, Spoken Chinese in 100 Lessons, Chinese Soft Power Code, Chinese English Urdu Dictionary, Rise of China and the Asian Century, Nation Building Paradoxes in India and Pakistan, and China West and the Islamic World, the World in 2050. Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Assalamu alaikum. What a pleasure to come back to this city, the pride of Pakistan, Islamabad, capital of Pakistan. Respected General Raza Muhammad, President IPRI, respected also distinguished Mr. Brigadier Rashid Janjua, who is a great friend, and all, Dr. Ashfaq Hassan Khan and Shoaib Saddal Sahab and Dr. Athar. I have a list of all these luminaries there, Ambassador Sajjad and Ambassador Asif. You see, it's nice to see. As I usually say, the knowledge is the lost heritage of the Muslims. And, if knowledge doesn't come easy, it doesn't come cheap either. So, if you value knowledge, if you value scholars, that shows a change in the society. That is the first thing that shows that the society is about to change. For instance, in China, when I went there in the first year, 1980, most people would be loitering on the streets without money in their pockets. And they had no capacity to buy. But those people, thousands and thousands, you never saw so many people anywhere in the world on the streets. Next time when I went there, and I keep on going there, I mean, I may be more or less competing with Henry Kissinger, who went there 40 times. I may have gone more than half of that already. So, you see, the change that has come and that was coming, beginning to come, was that the people on the streets disappeared. So they got to work, they got to read, they got to, there was a change that was coming. And the first indication was people were not loitering. The reading as a culture has taken off. You could see in libraries, in railways, stations, people reading books. Before they wouldn't do that. Books had no place in that society. I was one of the first, in fact, the first Pakistani diplomat who was member of public library in Beijing. And that's what I have done all my life. Always membership of the libraries wherever I have gone. I mean, you were surprised how a foreigner who doesn't know the language is becoming a member of the library. So, I mean, there are many indications of the change that happened in China. The other was, the people started smiling. That was a big change. Especially in the hotels, the sales girls wouldn't smile. But when the Deng Xiaoping's reforms started coming, they all started smiling. There was not much in the shops there to buy. And if you wanted something to buy in the supermarket, they would say mayo, which means it is not there. It is there, but it is not there. Because the people were being paid for not working. The people were being paid lifetime job security without working. Nowadays, what you see the reverse, that the Chinese would actually take you from the road into their shops to sell. So money was a taboo. No more. When Deng Xiaoping came, he demystified not only the Communist Party, he demystified everything. And then profit was allowed, money was allowed. That's why, and in fact, one of his quotation, which I love it, is, let China become rich first. We will solve other problems after. So I have come long to believe that, of course, it's no secret now, that future belongs to Pakistan because of the fifth largest population that we have, and the resources that we have, the history that we have, the soft power that we have, the intangibles that we have, the enormous potential. Of course, it is yet to be harnessed. But the best thing that I would say is that let Pakistan become rich first. We will solve other problems after that. I have seen China becoming rich first, and I have seen how many problems they have solved. Almost more than half of their problems, or even a very large percentage of their problems they have resolved, just because they have become rich. Because becoming rich makes you available resources that you need to solve your problems. So today, I would say why I keep on writing these books. Maybe I don't have much to do. Well, I do have many things to do, but I love writing rather than doing anything else. So I keep writing. This is my 10th book. And what I have done in this book is to show the different phases of poverty alleviation of China. But before that, what I have said is that Deng Xiaoping legitimized wealth creation. Legitimizing wealth creation is something that we miss out. Generally, we talk about poverty alleviation, but we don't talk about poverty alleviation with relationship to wealth creation. In Pakistan, very kind of you to come. Chinese love me. You know, generally I give all these speeches in Chinese when I'm in China. All this, what I'm talking now, actually I deliver it in Chinese. And you know, it really strikes them so much. They really feel so what I was saying is that when I was in 79, and this is an eyewitness account of what I saw and how the transition happened. And I kept going because my government forgot me. After posting me there, nobody was willing to go to China in those days. You know the difficult situation in 1979 and 80, nobody would be willing to go there because nothing was available. Life was so Spartan in China that nobody would be willing. I also refused. So my boss told me, we'll throw you out of the service if you refuse to go to China. Because I said, well, everybody in the family is telling they only got you to send to China. You don't have anybody to wriggle out. So why I tell you? Because China in those days was many times backward than even North Korea. And it had a per capita income 30% less than Pakistan. It used to produce some heavy industries, maybe some, but very little light goods industries. My car arrived from Tokyo. It took 4 months for me to register that car. It doesn't take 40 minutes now to register a car. Register a car, 40 minutes, I just experienced it because I believe in experimental learning. So without experimental learning, it's very difficult to understand anything. So I have gone to Chinese department to see. Before they told me they had to have 120 signatures and 100 stamps for getting your car registered. Now they have just 5 or 6 signatures and they do it under one roof. And you can get it in 30 minutes to 40 minutes, the car registered. Why? No, how did poverty alleviation happen? So this is very important that I want to say you. Of course, there are my 10 books mention all the 10,000 ideas that Deng Xiaoping implemented, and you will be, very surprised. And today I'm telling you one secret which I have not told any time. Out of these 10,000 ideas, there were few of my ideas too. But it was 10,000 ideas. The Chinese are very intelligent. Deng Xiaoping, in those days, he used to make his foreign ministry and also other friendship associations that please ask the young students, foreign students, about what is lacking in China. What is there that China needs to improve? So he made it a point to get inputs from the foreign students and the young diplomats. And I was one of the younger ones, 23 years. So, and because, life was difficult, so I used to say, what needs to be done? And those inputs were related and conveyed to the authorities there. Not only my inputs, but inputs of other students. So China has followed a bottom-up approach. What you mean by bottom-up approach is getting inputs from the grassroots and making policies like. So 10,000 ideas that Deng Xiaoping implemented, of course, few of mine where I could see were mine too. So I think of course there are a lot that I can say on what the reforms he undertook. I have described 126 reforms. I would say not only reforms, but strategies. It was a battle. If you have read Sun Tzu, the book Art of War, actually Deng Xiaoping followed 100 stratagems. 100 stratagems to fight poverty, 100 stratagems. I describe all this in my book, in this book also, and in other books also, because it cannot be discussed, it cannot be, it needs more books. So what 100 stratagems, and today I will going to tell you only 10 of, only eight of them or 10 of them, which were the major strategies that he did, so that we can also learn if possible. If possible, we can learn from them. So, Deng Xiaoping, so as you have, I cannot really replace the book. You have to read the book to understand it. Because as the general was telling, I have a lot of passion in the book. But passion has to be backed by data sciences. This is an age of data. This is an age of cognitive thinking. If you don't have cognitive thinking, only passion cannot help. You have to crystallize these ideas. So he adopted 100 stratagems, 1,000 policies, initiatives or reforms, and 10,000 ideas. So I today will tell you only the major 8 or 10 ones which he did. But before I do that, I would also share with you Iqbal, who is the मैं जो सरबज सजदा हुआ तो ज़मीं से आने लगी सदा मैं जो सरबज सजदा हुआ तो ज़मीं से आने लगी सदा तेरा दिल तो अमेरिका आशना है तुझे मिलेगा क्या चीन में Of course, Iqbal was a great fan of, unfortunately he could not learn Chinese language, or maybe it was in those days he went to Germany and UK. Iqbal has said a beautiful poetry about China, a lot of it. And in one place he says, of course this is not Iqbal's, it is of Iqbal's poetry, but I have also amended it to suit me. He says, when I bowed down my prayers to the Lord said, your heart is telling about love for America and what we will get in China. So this was, of course, amended by me. But Iqbal was in love about China and knew what was coming. In 1930s, 32, 34, when the Long March had survived, Long March, Tangchang, the Long March had survived, Iqbal wrote that couplet, which he says, हिमालय के चश्मे उबलने लगे गिरा ख्वाब चीनी संभलने लगे हिमालय के चश्मे उबलते हैं कब तो लोग खिज़र नज़ारा करता है गुलर के किनारे उठा साकिया इस पर्दे रात से लड़ा दे ममूले को शाहबाज से गया दौर सरमायादारी गया खेल दिखा कर मर्दारी गया. That was about Iqbal. What Iqbal said that the spring of Himalayas have started spurting. The Chinese have started rising. Chinese have woken up from deep slumber. And then he says, oh God, make me understand these secrets. Iqbal actually had made many predictions, and rise of China was one prediction. There was also one prediction about coming of Pakistan, because Pakistan came into existence 10 years after Iqbal. But Iqbal had said that what was coming. So his prediction about Pakistan, his prediction about China was that China is rising. So he said that so this poem, what I recited in front of you, is a famous couplet from Iqbal about China's rise. Another couplet is खोल आंख ज़मीं देख फलक देख मशरिक से उभरता हुआ इस सूरज को जरा देख. Then he says, there is another one which he says, नहीं है तेरा नशीमन नहीं, there is another one he says, अभी तक मौजूद है महखाने शर्क में, अभी तक मौजूद है महखाने शर्क में वो मैं जिससे रोशन हो अदराक. He said that the West should not ignore East, should not downplay East. that East is finished now. He says, अभी तक मौजूद है महखाने शर्क में. Still the wines of wine shops of the East still have that elixir that can transform humanity. जैसे रोशन हो अदराक. So you see, the poverty alleviation in China at that time, how it started very amazingly. I can tell you, when I went there in 1980, Chinese had no money in their pockets. There were no money, no money. Even the teachers would not take us to their homes because they were very, very hard pressed, leading a very Spartan life. So, and if you wanted to book a taxi, you would need 3 hours to wait for that taxi to come. 99.9% of transport was all bicycles. So even the poverty was visible. On the roads, you could see during the winter season people dying. I could see. And they were, lifted in the morning. So it was a difficult situation. China's per capita income was $230 and Pakistan's was $280. I mean, I'm talking of 79-80. So their exports was $11-12 billion in 79-80. Pakistan was $4 billion. We were only 4 times less than them. Today we are 100 times less than them. So, so the 8 major things that they did, which I want to share with you. And, of course, many people talk of China and Pakistan being different in culture, in ideology, in terms of, their values like Confucianism, Taoism, Buddhism, and our Islam. But I was talking to the group before coming here. I found 40 similarities with China, which make us equally capable of benefiting from their Chinese experience. And I can tell you, both of our countries have heavy population, both have hostile neighborhoods, both were sanctioned by the Western powers, both have important role of military in their governance, both are ideological states, but we believe in life after death, they believe in life before death. So when Deng Xiaoping was implementing reforms to make China, in Pakistan we have somebody who was preparing us for life after death. So both countries have role of military in economic sector, very important role of military. Of course, China transitioned from security state to economy state. We still remain a security state. We need to also transition, and that's why the number one change that we need to do is to do what Deng Xiaoping did. And Deng Xiaoping took PLA on board for change, for reforms. This is the key question. Most people ask me how to start Pakistan, change in Pakistan. This is number one. Take military on board for comprehensive reforms. Military should not resist reforms. That's what PLA was doing. PLA thought its privileges will be gone. PLA thought, how can it will be able to manage this foreign investment. They took pride in foreign investment, not having foreign investment, not having loans before. But Deng Xiaoping said to the military generals, and I know a lot of them I know. Even I shook hands with Deng Xiaoping 6 times. 6 times, and I can tell you, he told the military generals, if you don't change, if you don't allow comprehensive reforms to happen, you will have no salary very soon. China will go down the drain. Just 10 years after what he said, Russia went down the drain. Just because they did not have the money to pay their soldiers and also transports and everything. So economic collapse was coming if the reforms were not undertaken. So Deng Xiaoping, number one, that he took PLA on board for reforms. In this country, in Pakistan, and I am telling you the similarities with China, and then after that I will tell you how. Then, both countries used to have the heavy subsidies. Both countries have established resistance to change in those days. In Pakistan also, we are very resistant to change. Both people in both countries had no trust in public policies. I'm talking of 1979, 80 China, and I'm talking of 2024, 25 Pakistan. People in both countries have no trust in public policies. One may like it, may not like it, but this is it. People in both countries are eager to leave their countries. आज आप पाकिस्तान वाले से पूछे कि बाहर जाना है, तुमको वीजा देते हैं, oh, they will be rushing, go out. That was same in China. Everybody was running away from China, wanted to run away from China in early 1980s. So this similarity is also there. Intellectuals are not liked. I don't know how General Raza came to like me, and a lot of you like me. But intellectuals are not liked. And it was same in China in 1979-80. In Chinese, there is a very good couplet. I will translate it. Of course, it is in English. I will tell you in English. Ren pa chu ming chu pa chuang. Ren pa chu ming chu pa chuang. What it meant was people were afraid to become prominent. And people were afraid to become pig. Because if pig become fat, it will be killed immediately because there will be a lot of meat to eat. And then if the people became prominent, they will be taller in the crowd, tall in the crowd, first to go. जो crowd में सबसे लंबा होगा उसको सबसे पहले हटाओ. Chopped off first. So intellectuals were frowned, and I saw it in front of my eyes and looked down upon. They were called ninth stinking category. Ninth stinking category in cultural revolution used to be the worst people, were the intellectuals. So if you regard the scholars and intellectuals as bad, that society has no future. Deng Xiaoping changed that. He made intellectuals number one, VIP, now, more or less. Scholars and intellectuals have to be respected. There was heavy industry bias in planning, like it is in Pakistan. Too few goods were chasing too many people. Every day in Pakistan, the inflation is rising. If IMF was able to solve Pakistan's problems, it could have solved long ago. For 40 years, we have been in an IMF program. But has it solved our problem? Will it solve our problems? It will not. IMF programs can never solve your problems. What you can solve your problems are by your own reforms, home-cooked reforms. जो General Saab को मैं, I'm hoping that General Saab will convey. First of all, those people who are resisting these reforms have to be on board. That is the first thing. Then hostile neighborhood, I have talked about it, heavy bureaucracy in both countries. 1979 China was heavy bureaucracy, 16, 17 million bureaucrats. Today there are 6 million bureaucrats. So red tapeism. Red tapeism in Chinese, they call it, red tapeism, was like what you call surkhfita. Chinese have also this, hong, yeah. So this, the red tapeism in 1979 China, 2024 Pakistan. Go to any department, try to ring any Pakistani mission. Try to get any work done in your government department. Red tapeism. Heavy bureaucracy, red tapeism, bias against coastal areas. In China, also strangely, there was a strong bias against development of coastal areas. Amazing. In 1979. Shanghai, my friends from Shanghai used to say that, against all this, that people attitude against coastal areas in 1979. But coastal areas, Deng Xiaoping said, can be the first to change, can be the first to bring prosperity because of their location. People all over the world, work on the coastal areas. But that bias was there. There were bias against rich people. Anybody who's receiving remittance, you had people calling on their home. Why they are receiving this remittance and money? So, the overseas Chinese were very, they were very disturbed. So in that, like bias against rich people, bias against big cities. Shanghai suffered before Deng Xiaoping. Shanghai and Canton suffered most, and other Tianjin. Pakistan and Karachi used to be far better than Shanghai. In fact, Shanghai mayor in 1983, he came to meet my ambassador and told, please make sister city relationship with Karachi. We want to learn from Karachi. This was 1983, when General Zia was visiting Japan and he was transiting through Shanghai. So I was an eyewitness to that. So heavy-handedness against business people. Nobody liked business people in Shanghai in 1980. They didn't like them. There was a bias against business people. Similarly in Pakistan. You have people who think business people do not deserve respect. In 1980. So if you can't give respect to the business people, how can you have a private sector develop, private sector? So these are similarities. Then no willingness to learn from global best practices. In Pakistan also, we are all Aristotles. We don't need to learn. Pakistan is chosen people, and all chosen people have to go through the gas chambers. If the chosen people never learn, if you regard yourself chosen people, you will never learn. You will never learn. So there was in China in 1979-80 no willingness to learn from global best practices. No, we are in Chinese it's called Icheji Totrang Weikang, which means you take class war as the center of ye. Deng Xiaoping changed that. Icheji Totrang Weikang, no. All classes removed. We are all united front. He formed united front. So this is then another one is the quota system. In China also quota system. Quota for this, quota for that, rationing for this, rationing for that. All these rations and quotas were there in China in 1979-80. Sugar was short. Cooking oil was short. Not available in the market. So you can understand, then no acknowledgement of mistakes. Until Deng Xiaoping came, everybody thought we were doing the best. And we will lead the world and lead the countryside surrounding the cities. Guerrilla war. Deng Xiaoping said, we have nothing to do with guerrilla war now. Only guerrilla war we need to do in business. develop the business, not ideological Golida wall. So then no reforms, no innovation, no out-of-box solutions. Exactly, General Saab, बुरा नहीं मानिएगा मेरी बातों को, but we are like that. No reforms, no reforms, no innovation, no out-of-box solutions. Deng Xiaoping said, no, experiment with new ideas. He was the greatest experimental visionary politician the world may have seen. Nobody writes on as much as they should write on him. But I can't write so many books already. So then there was no rule of law. The only law was that you have to be read. You have to be read. That means you have to be a member of the Communist Party. Deng Xiaoping said, no. There has to be rule of law. Law is supremacy. Law is supreme. Law builds societies. If there is no rule of law, then there was no merit. Meritocracy was not there. Very much against Confucian system. So Deng Xiaoping introduced that. In Pakistan, it is same. 1979-80, in China, you had to be red. Over here, you have to be green. Over there, you wear the red cap, mauve cap. Over here, you have to have beard. अब क्या कहे आदमी? But देखो ना, this is not. These things are policy-driven poverty. China had policy-driven poverty. When I used to ask my teacher why China is poor, she used to say, it's a policy-driven poverty. Our policies are wrong. There is a striking similarity. In Pakistan, the policies make you poor, are making it poor. We have to change the policies. We have to introduce reforms, incentives. Then complexion of GDP was agrarian, similarly in Pakistan. Agriculture is, so we can start with agriculture, why not? And our agriculture and our people are very well connected to the globalized world. We can change very, very quickly. In fact, I told my Chinese friends, you took 40 years to change and become a superpower, a green regional power. We will take 20 years, maximum 20 years. And we will come back and shoot like a star, a straight star, not like this. It will be like this. So I can tell you, maybe you think I'm too passionate. Both have Asian culture and both have historical baggage. Same, like in China, they had historical baggage of Western powers colonizing them, at least their cities. And same, you have historical baggage in Pakistan. We have Asian culture also. As somebody was talking with me and talking that we have Asian culture. Yes, we have Asian culture. So these similarities can be worked. Then there was a provincialism and localism, like in Pakistan. In 1979-80, China was very, very provincial, very, very local. Tifang Tui. Tifang Tui. My Chinese friends know what is Tifang Tui. Huh? Tifang Tui is what, in Pakistan. I come here, people ask me, why do you go to Islamabad? Why shouldn't I go to Islamabad? Islamabad is my country, capital, it's city of Pakistan. I go from here, people say, why do you go to Karachi? Is Karachi, where is Karachi? Karachi is the biggest city of Pakistan. So Tifang Tui, localism, provincialism, parochialism. Then there was regional income disparity in China in 1979-80, just as it is here in Pakistan. There is a regional income disparity. Then there is elitism, nepotism, cronyism. All these evils in China in 1980 was there. It is same in Pakistan. Sada Banda, Jala, Yothie, all, same category. You can put them all in some same category. Then hero worship and personality cult. In China also, hero worship, personality cult in 1979-80. Same over here. I mean, the personality cult is so strong here. People don't talk to you if you don't, for instance, worship this personality or that personality. People don't want to have anything to do with you. It was same in China in 1980. Hero worship, personality cult. And then red guards, Jialas, red guards over there, Jialas over here. Then you had what you call Yothias, Patwaris, and all these categories same. Sada Banda. Then, over there also they thought state control will solve the problems. State control will make sure nothing bad happens. State control. Over here we think digital wall will solve all the problems. Great Wall. They were building Great Wall long ago. But it did not stop the Mongols. It never stops. Walls never stop. They built Maginot Wall in Belgium. But could it stop First World War? Could it stop the Germans from invading the Maginot Wall? No. Walls never work. But we have the thinking, was just create walls. All of us live in walled societies, thinking that these walls will prevent us from the hungry and miserable Pakistanis who are now becoming more and more. I don't know how long they will take time to scale the walls. Then ideology-laden school textbooks. In China, ideology-laden 要共产主义的思想的，这是课本都有共产主义的思想的了，是不是啦？1980年都是那样的。I mean, in 1980, all the school text syllabus was what you call ideology-laden. Over here, we have Bin Laden. Our school syllabus, everything is Bin Laden. Over there, it is ideology-laden in those days. So, striking similarities. And then there was political stuffing and stuffing. Political stuffing and stuffing in government departments. Anybody who is red, stuff him there. Member of Communist Party, whether he can write or read is not important. Political stuffing and stuffing. Same in Pakistan. People don't need to know whether you know anything, whether you have knowledge or expertise or skills are not important. And then there was no money for universities or research think tanks. I don't know how General Raza manages his affairs, but universities and think tanks over here, I don't know. I have all sympathy for them. अगर मेरे पास पैसे होते सारा मैं इन्हीं को दे देता. I try to give to universities as much as possible, wherever books and whatever I can do. But so no money for universities or research think tanks. That was in China also, 1980. And there was no Chinese university in top 500. Today there are 1/3 of them. And the China took first World Bank loan in 1981. Shahid Hussain was vice president of World Bank. I was in China. They took $150 million. They combined their own budgetary money, and then they changed 40 universities, upgraded 40 universities. And they call it borrowing money to buy hen to lay eggs. This was the policy. And we borrow money to spend on budgetary support. खा पी कर अभी 7 बिलियन आ रहा, वो भी थोड़े दिन के बाद Will this be the last IMF program? So no money for research, but the Deng Xiaoping, first time he took loan from World Bank, first time, 1981, $150 million, all went to universities. And 2,000 students were sent to Stanford, Yale, and what we do over here, build a road somewhere where earthquake comes very often, and build another road where flood comes more often. Build another road to a place where nobody travels. Why can't you use that money, as Deng Xiaoping used to do, to send students abroad, instead of building those roads, which 2-3 years, those roads don't exist. It's terrible, terrible. So no new ideas, of course, but Deng Xiaoping changed that. And he even asked for ideas from people like me, like students, foreign students, young diplomats. They were asked how China can become better. Can we ask our Chinese friends to tell us how Pakistan can become better? So no premium to professionalism and merit. There was no importance whether you are very educated or from a good family or you have a passion. Nothing. That was not important. What was important? You are to be a member of Communist Party, and you had to be connected with some leaders to get the jobs. So no professionalism was needed. What happens when no professionalism is there? You see the society that Pakistan has become outside this hall. This hall is well managed. So this is what I said, that, Deng Xiaoping's poverty alleviation program was first began with demystifying that. So I just briefly tell you the 8 steps, and you have to read the books, because this is my 10th book. Of course, I am writing and writing. So, but this is so far the 10th, the best one. So Deng Xiaoping started with demystifying the party, Communist Party, demystify. There's nothing holy. We all make mistakes. We are all human beings. We must question ourselves. Deng Xiaoping said that, first thing. Then demystifying profit. He said, people in China had no love for profit, no concept of profit, how to make profit. So Deng Xiaoping said, making profit is essential for civilizations to move forward. No profit, civilization will not move. That's a very important lesson, that you have to allow wealth creation. Then there was, of course, they started with reforms. As I said to you, there are a lot of quotations of Deng Xiaoping, but one quotation I love. It is only 3 words, and you must love it. Either reform or perish. Either reform or perish. That's what happened to Soviet Union. And I went to Soviet Union, Russia, after it broke up, just after that. And amazing, somebody I talked in their scholar, said, what to reform? Even they don't know what to reform. तो मुल्क का क्या हशर होगा? So either reform or perish. That was the message he gave to Chinese. Of course, Deng Xiaoping had suffered 3 purges. And the last time purge he came back was July 1977. He survived these purges. So he wanted to change China, just like General Saab was very kind, but I'm no Deng Xiaoping. but he was very kind to say that I have a lot of passion. Yes, I have passion. I may not be Deng Xiaoping, but I can become important. My bosses have always said, you are out to make Pakistan a superpower. But I said, well, if that is a fault, please forgive me. And then some people when I was coming to Islamabad, said, you are out to make every Pakistani Bill Gates. So I said, what is the harm in that? If that is my fault, please forgive me. Then, of course, the 4-point modernization, that reforms that they began with agriculture, which is very important. In Pakistan, also 70% poverty is in agriculture, in rural areas. We must start with agriculture, not what we are saying. Our politicians say all the right things, but do all the wrong things. That's what I have seen in my life. So you have to start with agriculture, have a team, have a people, honest people, and then civil service has to be reformed. Shoaib Saddal is here. You know, Dr. Shoaib Saddal has done a lot of work, and many others have done a lot of work. I have myself also done a lot of work, and I don't know. But I can tell you that there is a consensus in Western scholars why China remained number one for 15 centuries. And I am sharing with you because I am telling you from the book, history of the economic history of the last millennium, book written by Madison his name is Madison. He died in 2010. He was a British economist with OECD. He wrote this book, wonderful book. Of course, I will refer to you 2 or 3 books which you must read to understand what is happening. So he said that there is a consensus among Western scholars why China remained number one for 15 centuries. And he says they did 3 things right. This author says 3 things right. If you can do, we don't have to be China. They are a big country, but we can make our things all right. Reform your agriculture. Prioritize your agriculture. Second, taxation system. Reform your taxation system. And third, reform your civil service. If we can do these 3 things, immediate change will start in Pakistan. Of course, I add 2 of my own, and that is education and what you call soft power. We must start with discipline. Brigadier Saab was curriculum on discipline. There are 888 values that I noticed, and I have written in some of them in my book. But it needs a lot to write. I can't write encyclopedias of Chinese soft power. But that is how it is. And so we need not only discipline, we need a lot of these soft values. Our children used to be taught in schools those soft power values. No more. है मेरा काम गरीबों की हिमायत करना. कहाँ गया वो सब? Iqbal is no more in our schools. So I'm not now nearly about to finish. So taxation reforms and then civil service reforms. Of course, this is in that book. And then he talks about, the same author talks about how Europe rose, and last 400 years of European you can say, supremacy was courtesy of 3 things. Again, I share with you this Madison who he wrote. He says, intellectual humanism. Intellectual humanism is the sort of thing that General Raza is doing. Calling me a person after retirement who has written a book is something that you may be displaying an intellectual humanism. Second, he said the print revolution, printing machine revolution that made Europe start ahead. जैसे कहते हैं head start. And the third thing he said was libraries. Pakistan mein libraries have closed and are closing. That shows where we are heading. So, of course, that is, and then the 5th thing was education, investment in higher education. Before Deng Xiaoping's reforms came, China used to have education. Everybody was literate. They used to read newspaper. But that reading newspaper doesn't make you a superpower, doesn't make you an economic power. You need expertise. You need professionals. In Pakistan, just like China, we are running hospitals without doctors. In China also, in 1980, The hospitals were run by security guards. There were no specialists, very few doctors. I was scared to go to hospital. And I can tell you many dozens of incidents, episodes, that going to hospital was a sure, it's scary, because there were no doctors, no specialists. How do you run a hospital without doctors or specialists? That was in 1980 China. Exactly same Pakistan. Pakistan is run by security guards. No hospital, no doctors needed, no specialists needed, nothing. We don't need anybody. I have sympathy for these security guards too, because they keep on running and they cannot do anything. Because the patients are coming, they need what you call operations. And a security guard can't do operations for the patients. So then the seventh one and the eighth one, of course, we need to invest in higher education. That's what Deng Xiaoping did. That higher education, investment in higher education, and there are many research that proves that investment in higher education gives you disproportionate benefits. Disproportionate, not proportionate. Disproportionate benefit to the society. China had no university, no company in 500 top Fortune 500 or Forbes 500 companies in 1980. Today you see 1/3 of them at least are Chinese, and it is growing. So this was the last point that I wanted. Of course, the last point is SMEs and SMEs, 中小企业, which means Chinese 中小企业 means SMEs, small and medium enterprises. 90% of what happened in China and in Europe and everywhere is small enterprise, SMEs. So when they made these civil servants go, prune the civil servants, gave them 2 promotions upward, and gave them a whole golden handshake, all these civil servants went and became mentors of the startups. There were not many startups. Nowadays, there are 40 million startups in China. There was not even 100,000 startups or 200,000 startups in 1980. Now there are 40 million startups in China. Some of these startups of my friends, of course, I lived in China for long, they become billionaires. These companies, Tencent, Haier, Grey, Huawei, and then all this, what you call Jack Ma, what is that his company. And all these people have come from startups. And I have books how they have grown from very insignificant. Jack Ma used to sleep on the roads. That's how, so they have grown these startups and SMEs and become global conglomerates. And of course, together with this is the special economic zones. So I don't have to tell you what I have written in the book. Of course, I have told you only the major areas of reforms that they did. Of course, there are 100 others, but so I can only tell you that Deng was very good in experimenting with ideas of his own, ideas of everybody, including the foreign students. And so I can only tell you that we need a shortcut to prosperity. Many of my students I taught in NUST for nearly 6 years, and 6 years actually. And many people even today, they tell me, please, sir ji, koi shortcut dasso. Ki kariye? Kakh nahi samajh aandi, ki kariye? We don't know how to do, what to do. Please tell us shortcut. So I tell you today the shortcut, and my book is Shortcut to Prosperity. China adopted shortcut. In 40 years, they have achieved what the Western world achieved by war, by conflicts, by colonization in 400 years. China achieved without war, without conflict, without colonization, without natural resources. They made it by dint of their soft power and organizing themselves. And so I can leave it at that. Of course, I will be happy if you want to ask me questions, but you have to read the book. A lot of this is already, there in my books, but if you need to know more, of course, I can't cover in this short time. लोगों को दे दें, जिनको भी चाहिए. So I have also brought a written stuff if you want to read. Reading culture is also the lost heritage of Muslims. So वो मुझे कहते, everyone says me, why you are so keen for people to read? They don't want to read, let them remain so. Okay, so General Saab, I thank you. I thank you for your hospitality. I don't look forward to any hospitality. I don't look forward to any protocol. I am already done with these things. And I love my life of, Darwish. I just write books and do nothing else. Thank you. I will be, if you want to ask questions, I will be very happy to respond to them.
Thank you so much, Ambassador, for your insightful, candid, and poetic discourse, I would say. Now we would open the floor for question and answers. I would request audience members to please introduce themselves and please keep your questions precise. So yeah, Mike will come to you. And
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Azhar Zaur Rahman. I'm also an author. I've written 4 books so far, 2 of them on governance. I'm probably the only Pakistani author who's published books on governance internationally. I've been in the Middle East for 28 years and I've seen transformation being done, change. I wish I could do that change in Pakistan as well. My point, I've seen that $250 million that China got as loan being utilized. I was doing my first master's in the University of Michigan in 1983-84, 82-83-84. And the first 2 rows of students were Chinese, and that meant about 100 people in one class. They spoke their own language, they had their own books, they didn't mingle with us.
So please tell the question.
Yeah, my question is, how were those people utilized when they went back to China?
You see, there is a quotation of Deng Xiaoping. He says, people criticize me for prioritizing higher education. But his quotation is, you will see how China changes when these chaps come back. This is his quotation. What he did when these people got educated in Stanford, Yale, and Chicago, and other universities, because that happened, other Australia and others came afterwards. Before 1990, of course, 88 and 89, the Tiananmen and all that. But China, of course, utilized those people in all some of them were government servants. They were not just students who went in the first wave that you are mentioning. They were government servants. They had jobs, so they came back into their jobs. Some of them started heading in China Academy of Sciences, China Academy of Social Sciences. As you know, China has the largest think tank in the world. So it continued to build up.
You have identified the problem very rightly and shown the way forward also, giving solutions also. Is it possible under the environment, under our system, the present system, or the system which we have tried, to follow the Chinese system, their system of governance, their political system, their judicial system? If it is that possible, then how to go about it?
Thank you for this question, because you see, you are asking about, is it possible to learn from the Chinese system? I have told you some of the similarities and some of the challenges which are common. Let me tell you whether we can learn from China. Why not? The Chinese have learned from us. You would be surprised. Let me tell you one name of a book, if you have time. because a society can only change if it goes back to the books. So the one book is written by Chinese Deputy Prime Minister Li Lanqing. Li Lanqing, Lilanqing. This book is published from Oxford and Beijing simultaneously. This book is the bestseller for those who want to know what happened in China, how China became what China is today. So this book is exactly that. In that book, he mentions 7 pages about contribution of China, of Pakistan in China's development. 7 pages. This book has been published in 2009 and in 2013. And many editions have come after that. Please read this book. He says, in one page, he says, Pakistan, we learned this from Pakistan, from Karachi, from their system. And he also says that we didn't know how to write an application to World Bank for loan, and Pakistanis helped us to write that loan application to World Bank. So those 7 pages that he talks about Pakistan makes you feel like, as if, where have we come? Where China has gone? If China can learn from our experience, why can't not we learn from their experience? We have to have an open mind. That's why I was telling to General Raza Muhammad that, it's amazing that you called me. People don't like intellectuals here. We are anti-intellectuals, just like it happened in China. In China, in 1980, they were anti-intellectuals. The intellectuals were the 9th sticking category. So whether we can learn from China and how we can learn, I told you the way. Of course, you have also mentioned that I have told what is the way forward. First way forward is what General Raza has noted, I suppose, is to bring those people who are resisting the reforms and change on board. Then make a team of people who have nothing to gain, no personal interest. Make a team and who can deliver. That team should not be people who say all the right things but do all the wrong things. It has to be a team which can deliver, which can not just issue whoppers and press releases. No government, no society can be run by whoppers and press releases. Do you think, just half an hour ago, the whopper I saw was that Pakistan will become prosperous because of IMF program. This is a whopper. This is mainstream. All people are thinking, this program of $7 billion will Pakistan into land of milk and honey. Do you think, is it right to have such whoppers? So let's be honest to ourselves. That's another first requirement. These. Yes.
Democracy is noisy and it has a lot of consensual requirements. So, is that possible for us to do all those reforms under this system where there is political polarization, so much going on?
Janju Sahab, you are a great scholar yourself, and you have rightly asked, and General Farooq is also a great friend of mine, and I have all respect for him and his question also. Not only Communist Party or the governance structures, but political system. The political system, they have what you call Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference. It's called Senate. In our context, it is Senate. So Chinese have CPPCC, or NPC is the National People's Congress, the equivalent of National Assembly in Pakistan. So CPPCC is where they have 8 or 10 democratic parties. Those democratic parties are small parties, but intellectuals, and they make their contribution. So China is not one-party state, as it is generally said that Communist Party is the party which runs the show, and then there is no input of course they have a different system of electoral diplomacy. democracy, electoral democracy. There, over there, it is different. The whole layers. There are a lot of books on Chinese governance system, and also, if you want to see the how electoral democracy works, I worked in Singapore also. That's also 70% Chinese. So you have that, but it's a socialist democracy where we Pakistanis and the rest of the world is lacking, where in understanding of China is what we call Chinese characteristics. This is an area where most of the world doesn't know what Chungguo Tesi的社会主义 what is the Chungguo Tesi? 什么是中国特色? What is Chinese characteristics? Answers are provided in Chinese characteristics. And that is not just the one word. Chinese characteristics took 8,000 years to build up. 5,000 years of written history was Chinese characteristics. So what you are saying is that how we can benefit from that system. Even thinking that one party controlling, like Communist Party, has the support, and it's a party where at least 100 million, more or less 90 to 100 million members, almost nearly 8 to 10% of their population. So you cannot say it is not representative. It is representative, and but this is only one of the few areas of difference that we have. But I told you the 40 areas that I identified today, which make our two conditions in our two countries more or less same. And they are an Asian country. And they have an Asian culture, and like us, Islamic people, many Chinese tell me that we are very, very similar to you, because you got it from your religion, we got it from our history. So maybe we can, we don't need to have a one-party system. Why? Of course, our system we have. But let me tell you, Janjua, one thing more. This democracy, this goddess of democracy is not as beautiful as you think, or anybody thinks. Maybe I think. The goddess of democracy over in poor countries, in developing countries, the goddess of democracy has another definition, and that is, it has been established after 1945 Atlantic Charter. 3 goddesses were introduced in thinking of the decolonized world. 3 goddesses. One was goddess of democracy. One was goddess of, what you call as private sector, economic, the Bretton Woods institutions. And then 3rd goddess was United Nations. Now you ask, has democracy worked in developing countries? Look at what is Global South. Why they are all keen to go to BRICS? Why has the development model that was told by IMF and IFIs, has it worked? Do you think after this program we will be so prosperous? As they say that after every program, IMF makes us dependent on another program. So, we have to, and then the 3rd one, look at the United Nations. I don't have to comment on that. So, we have to think beyond. If there is a democracy that is, we can find our own solutions to democracy, our own ways of doing, our history, our culture. We can find our own systems. Why are we so, I would say, so much, that it is the last word of the Bible?
Why did we have the democracy, not the sham democracy?
Wherever democracy is there, leave aside, if you want to give me examples, there are hardly examples where democracy has really worked in removing poverty. It increases poverty. Look at India. Even if you want to mention India, look at India. Of course, they are keeping, a lot of Western investment. All the investment that used to go in South Asia, they are going in just one country. So why? India will definitely progress. Then they have also played very smart with the soft power, what is that called? The IT exports, and also there. So India has built up a huge foreign exchange reserves, but look at the abject poverty there. Income inequality has increased in India. And they have, I mean, this side of abject poverty is not healthy for any country. So tell me, if one country where democracy, even in America, poverty has increased. As you know, the homeless, the poverty level of, I mean, some people were saying it was 12%, now they are saying it is 20%. And in Canada, I mean, so let me tell you, this democracy is not a holy thing. We believe in one God. Why these goddesses? They may be beautiful in their face, but we don't have to really accept those goddesses. We have to have our own, our own creations.
Excellency, we have many hands raised, so if you allow, can we club the questions and then you can respond?
Please. Go ahead.
Take 2 questions this time.
सूफी साहब बोलिए. हाँ, सूफी साहब को दीजिए पहले सूफी साहब को दीजिए, उनकी दाढ़ी का ज़्यादा मैं खैर इज्जत करता हूँ. जी सूफी साहब बताइए.
You explained similarity of past China and the present Pakistan, no doubt. But one thing I would like to know from you, there is 2 systems at the present world. One is capitalism, second is communism. No doubt Islam is also a wide range policies, but मैं उर्दू में आपसे पूछना चाहता हूँ. जी मैं उर्दू में आपसे पूछना चाहता हूँ, ज़्यादा बेहतर अंदाज में आपसे सवाल कर सकूँगा कि सूद के मामले में इंटरेस्ट जो है वो चाइना की क्या पॉलिसी है और उसका उनकी माशी तरक्की में क्या किरदार है और इफ़रात ज़र पे उसका क्या असर है, ये आपसे मालूम करना चाहूँगा.
देखिए ये सवाल हमारे पाकिस्तान में बड़ा एक क्रिटिकल सवाल है और काफ़ी लोगों ने मुझे कहा कि जी आप इस पर भी किताब लिखें. अब लोगों को तो जिसके मुंह में जो बढ़ता है वो मुझे बोलते रहते हैं. तो बात ये है कि ये सूद का निज़ाम वहाँ वही है जो बाकी दुनिया में है और चीन अभी आप जैसे मैंने आपको कहा कि वो एक लादीनी माशरा है, अगरचे वहाँ मुसलमान भी हैं, ईसाई भी हैं, दूसरे मज़हब के माने बुद्ध मज़हब के लोग भी हैं, लेकिन एक लादीनी माशरा है. तो वो माशरे में जो है वो सूद का निज़ाम वही है जो बाकी दुनिया में है और कोई उसमें फ़र्क नहीं है.
उनका रेट क्या है, सूद का जो हमारे यहाँ है तकरीबन 20%.
जी
नहीं वहाँ मैंने जो पढ़ा है 1 पॉइंट समथिंग जो है वहाँ पर है.
जी बिल्कुल.
तो इसको ज़रा प्लीज़ एक्सप्लेन कीजिए कि इंटरेस्ट का जो है उनकी तरक्की में कितना अमल दखल है.
देखें ये जो आपने बताया सूद की शरह तो एक तरह तो रहती नहीं है. पीपल्स बैंक ऑफ चाइना जो है, जो उनका सेंट्रल बैंक है, वो पीपल्स बैंक ऑफ चाइना जो उनका सेंट्रल बैंक है, स्टेट बैंक है, पीपल्स बैंक ऑफ चाइना, वो उसको डिटरमाइन करता रहता है वक्तन फ़वक्तन. आजकल जैसे आपने बताया कि कुछ अभी एग्जैक्ट शरह क्या है वो तो मुझे, हमारे यहाँ भी सेंट्रल बैंक वाले करते हैं. अब तो 17.5% कर दिया, पहले तो सब 22% था, अब तो अब उसको भी 17.5 को भी अब कम करके और भी कम करेंगे, क्योंकि इतनी ऊंची सूद का रहना किसी मुल्क की मैशियत का गला घोटने के बराबर है. और आपको पता है कि सूद वो कहते हैं कि जी इन्फ्लेशन को कंट्रोल करने के लिए सूद चाहिए, उल्टा इन्फ्लेशन को ज़्यादा करता है सूद. और ये हमारे अशफाक साहब यहाँ बैठे हुए, बड़े बड़े आलिम बैठे हुए हैं यहाँ पर, वो सब मेरे साथ थे नस्ब में, उनसे पूछिए. रिसर्च ये साबित करता है कि शरह सूद से इन्फ्लेशन बढ़ता है, कम नहीं होता है. तो हमारे यहाँ तो आपको पता है हम क्या कहा जाए बहरहाल. तो ये आपको मैं यही कहूँगा, चीन का जो शरह सूद का निज़ाम है इस पर और चीन के जो लीगल सिस्टम है उस कल कम किया है चाइना वालों ने, देखे ना. तो ये वेरी करता रहता है. तो सूद जो है वहाँ डिवाइन या रिलीजियस कॉनोटेशन से नहीं, وہ اس کی ضرورت نہیں ہے. تو وہ لیکن وہ بین الاقوامی نظام کے تحت جیسا چل رہا ہے ویسے ہی چلتا ہے. تو اگر ہم آپ جیسے مسلمان اگر اس جذبے سے اپنا ایک نظام ہم بنا سکیں, جو کہ ہم بنا سکتے ہیں, 800 سال تک تو ہم نے بنایا تھا. آپ کو میں بتاؤں صوفی صاحب, جب دینگ زیوپینگ نے یہ چینج لایا تو انہوں نے بڑی ریسرچ کی. اب آپ لوگوں کے علم میں نہیں ہوگا لیکن میں آپ کو کیا بتاؤں, میری تقریر بڑی لمبی ہو جاتی ہے. انہوں نے مسلمان کی ترقی کا راز بھی اسٹڈی کیا اور انہوں نے شیئر کیا ہم سے, کیونکہ میں تو 10 سال وہاں رہا ہوں. انہوں نے کہا کہ جب ہم چائنا میں ریفارمز لا رہے تھے تو ہمارے پاس ماڈل نہیں تھا, کون سا ماڈل ہم اپنائیں. تو دینگ زیوپینگ نے کہا آئی میڈ مائی اون ماڈل, ہائبریڈ ماڈل. دس از ناٹ دا رشین ماڈل, دس از نو ویئر ایلس, جو چائنا میں ماڈل انہوں نے بنایا. تو اس میں انہوں نے کہا کہ ہم نے چائنیز مسلمانوں کی ہسٹری پڑھی. مجھے وہاں کے لوگوں نے, اسکالرس نے کہا کہ ہم نے اس کنکلوژن پر پہنچے کہ مسلمانوں کی جو 800 سال تک جو مسلمان ڈومینیٹ رہے دنیا میں, وہ 3 وجہ سے. میں نے بتائیے کیونکہ میں تو آپ کو پتہ ہے اتنی علم نہیں رکھتا ہوں, تو میں نے بولا کہ بلکہ دوسروں کو سننا چاہیے, اپنا بولنا کم چاہیے. تو میں نے کہا کہ آپ بتائیے. انہوں نے کہا پہلا آپ کا شریعت کا نظام, شریعت کا نظام یہ آپ کی کامیابی کا وجہ تھا, جس میں آپ جو ہیں شریعت کے تحت قانون سازی ہوتی تھی. میں ایک کمیونسٹ کے منہ سے, اسکالر کے منہ سے یہ سن رہا ہوں. دوسرا انہوں نے کہا آپ کا معاشی نظام, جس میں آپ آزادی یعنی اونرشپ آف کیپٹل اینڈ لینڈ, وہ آپ کو پوری اجازت ہے اسلام میں, آپ جتنا پیسہ کمائیں, لیکن آپ کا معاشرے پر حق فرض بھی بنتا ہے, معاشرے کا آپ کے اوپر بھی فرض بنتا ہے. یہ مجھے چینی نے کہا, یہ آپ کا نظام عدل, نظام معاشیت نظام, وہ ہم نے پڑھا. موضوع تم نے بھی کہا تھا, حضرت عمر کے سے, وہ مجھے بھی پتا ہے جی. اب موضوع تم نے بھی کہا, اور اس کے بڑے ایپیسوڈز ہیں میرے پاس جو آپ کو سناؤں گے تو تقریر لمبی ہوتی جائے گی.
Sir, sorry to cut you short, but the audience is impatient.
ایک اور تیسرا جو انہوں نے نظام کہا, ایک نظام شریعت, نظام آپ کا معاشی عدل. پاورٹی ہیز نو روم ان اسلام. حضرت عمر جو ہے خود مدینے کا چکر لگاتے تھے, اور ایک دفعہ وہ جا رہے تھے تو وہ کوئی ایک عورت پانی کڑھائی میں رکھ کر اس کو ہلا رہی تھی. تو پوچھا کہ تم کیا کر رہی ہو؟ بولے میرے بچے بھوکے ہیں تو میں یہ ہلا رہی ہوں تاکہ بچے دیکھیں کہ کچھ پک رہا ہے. تو انہوں نے کہا کہ ہیں, تو وہ خود بھیس بدل کر کرتے تھے, آپ لوگوں نے پڑھا ہے یہ. وہ گئے اور 2 بوری چاول آٹا لا کر دیا, عورت کو کہا کہ روٹی بناؤ. تو ہمارے اسلامی ممالک میں یہ چینی نے بھی یہ واقعہ مجھے سنایا کہ وہ ہم لوگ جو ہے نا وہ عورت کی طرح پانی ہلا رہے ہیں تاکہ میرے بچے سو جائیں.
I will take 3.
Please, manage it. Please.
Comments in the second seat and the one in the white shirt. Abdullah, inko dena.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum salam.
This is Ambassador Sajjad. And for the understanding of the participants, because of some official assignment, I used to travel a lot between Beijing, Hong Kong, because of my official assignments. Just I want to share my feelings, what Chinese feel about Pakistani nationals. You know, as you know that Pakistan embassy near the subway station, there are so many exit and entry points, A1, A2, A3, B1, B2. So once I lost the way. So I asked the way, so the people over there, they generally use their mobile telephone, and after that they Google map and they convey you the message. But anyhow,
Muhtarma,
with
میری کتاب لے آئیے.
with one couple, I asked the way. You know, that was the old man, and they were just walking somewhere. What I understood from the conversation between husband and wife, wife told his husband that he is a Pakistani, you should go along with him to exact place because he is from Pakistan. Later on, I knew that both were retired professors. Now, that is how China became rich. Once I was traveling between Beijing and Hong Kong, so in the flight on the seat, I asked a child who was 12, 13 years of age, because very long flight, that what you want to become, a doctor or engineer or chartered accountant. So what was the answer from him? He said, I want to become rich. No? You see the feelings of the people. And just very small incident, what they feel about Pakistan. I was traveling from airport to our embassy in Sanlitun. I took a taxi. I knew that particular driver knew little bit of English because he asked me English song. So I just gave visiting card of the embassy. So I told him, I am from Pakistan. So, friend. So the driver told me, yes, friend, girlfriend, boyfriend, very good friend. So, these are the feelings of what Chinese people think about Pakistan. Sir, about you, I knew your colleagues, they were my ambassadors over there. And I knew that while you were posted there in presidency, one of my ambassadors used to say that don't go for the economic reports from newspapers or any other. Get the information from Ambassador Javed. So I appreciate your commitment, your work, your hard work you did for the ministry. Now coming back on the question.
Profuse apologies, sir, but
Yes,
we have long
Sir,
queues
is
of-
the reversal of Mao Zedong policy done by, that is,
Deng Xiaoping.
Deng Xiaoping?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, you
Thank
see, I will give you a very short answer. Deng Xiaoping said, like all great leaders, Mao Zedong was a great leader. And as a great leader, he made 70% right decisions, but 30% wrong decisions. So this is official statement of Deng Xiaoping, that while the central position of Mao Zedong in the Chinese Revolution, liberation of China, is very much recognized, and it is admitted. So Deng Xiaoping said that he was a great leader, he remains a great leader, but made 70% right decisions, and as a human being, he made 30% wrong decisions. So
Yeah.
this is-
Thank you, sir. My name is Amjad Rashid, and I am from Balochistan. I read your book, and it's full of knowledge and wisdom, and provide practical solutions to alleviate poverty, especially in context of Pakistan. My question is, I'm just referring to another book written by, it's actually interviews of Lee Kuan, another great thinker from Asia and from Singapore. He was asked a question about the sustainability of the progress of China and India as well. So his response, one of his observation was the handicap of language, the English language. And he explained that this because the progress, the way Europe progressed, the way USA progressed, they attracted talent throughout the world. So there is less attraction for the foreigners to come to China because of this big obstacle. Do you agree with this? Sir,
Sir, we'll take another
just
question.
in reference to what I was saying, the book by Deputy Prime Minister Li Lanxing is a bestseller on And his title of the book is Breaking Through. Breaking Through. And it is published from Oxford. And in that book, he has 7 pages on Pakistan. So that was the name of Li Lanqing. This must be in every library in Pakistan, because there is no book better than this on China's growth rate. China, how China achieved this. So I recommend this book for your library also. Li Lanqing, Breaking Through, title of the book. Coming back to Amjad's question, Amjad is himself is a great personality sitting amongst you. He is a lover of knowledge. He is the first person who actually keeps me pestering about which books you are reading, which books you are best you will recommend. I mean, he is coming from Quetta all the way to attend this launch ceremony. He was a former minister in provincial government in the former caretaker government, I think. And he is very keen on learning. It's amazing. I haven't seen very few people apart from Raza General Sahab. He is also very much pushing. And he has come. So coming back to your question, you see, the other book that I have recommended him, and I recommend all of you if you have time, but that's a very heavy book. You may take 1 year to read it. It's a book, it's called Singapore Story by Lee Kuan Yew. And that book is 667 pages. So that book, in that book, which you mentioned, your question, I will come back to you. In that book, Lee Kuan Yew writes that when I separated from Malaysia, I was crying, how I will make this city-state viable. There is no agriculture, no industry, nothing. Singapore was a dengue-infested city. And he writes in his book, nobody was willing to come to Singapore. It was a dengue mosquito marshland. And he used to call it 80-story building on a marshy land, Singapore. He describes Singapore as a 80-story building on a marshy land. Then he talks in his book that I asked World Bank how Singapore can change and become a viable state. And the World Bank guys, and it is mentioned in his book, says learn from Pakistan. Learn from Pakistan. This is 1965. Learn from Pakistan. This is mentioned in his book. You please check out. And then Lee Kuan Yew says, I sent, and I immediately went to Pakistan and Karachi, because Karachi was the only transit point between East and West. Nobody went to Mumbai or to Dhaka or to Delhi or anywhere. Karachi, the Chinese used to go also via Karachi, old generation Chinese in 1960s, 70s, 80s. So he writes that World Bank said, and I went to Pakistan. And then I got the necessary human resource stuff, talent that I needed. And he talks about Captain M.J. Saeed. Because I was in Singapore, so I knew. His wife is still living. He has died from our Navy. Captain M.J. Saeed built Singapore's Knoll. Knoll is the Singapore shipping service. Knoll. And Captain M.J. Saeed presented 25-year program to make Singapore the shipping hub. Next time when his contract expired, they sent another person. And Lee Kuan Yew returned that man, said, I don't need any filling up a post. I need real stuff. So I was there in Singapore. I saw also Lee Kuan Yew. And I have heard his 3 meetings he invited. Then, I was in that. So I can tell you it's amazing for me myself, because I had met Deng Xiaoping, Nelson Mandela, and Angela Merkel, and Lee Kuan Yew, and these were people who I met many, many times. So you can imagine the impression, the inspiration that I got. Coming back to your question, that language factor. But Mandarin is also the secret of China. How can you really remove Mandarin? If you remove Mandarin, they will all become like us. So language is a difficult thing, but you know how the Chinese language, it's based on characters. What is characters? Characters are pictograms which have evolved over centuries. They were from pictures. And I tell you just one example of what you will understand how deep it is. For a chaos and disorder, why a country has a chaos or disorder. In Chinese, they write it chaos as luan. Luan. Luan has two characters. It has ko and it has zui. Zui means tongue, and ko means belly. So the Chinese concept of chaos is that chaos comes in a society which has a problem of feeding the bellies. And the second reason, chaos comes in a society where tongue is not used properly for positivity, for win-win solutions. Tongue is a very important medium. It is tongue that you listen. If I had no tongue, you wouldn't listen to me. So tongue and belly makes chaos. So look at the depth of every word and every character that is made. You know, you will take a lifetime to study the Chinese hikmat-e-chin. The wisdom of China is in their language. In my book, I describe 100 words. And that book title, my book is Soft Power Code of China. Of course, there are 100,000 words, but I have only described 100. So you must read that also.
Thank you all for your questions. We'll be taking last round of questions. Ishtiaq Ali Mekri and the gentleman in the white shirt, Abdul. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Sir, you mentioned about the three things Deng Xiaoping followed from Islamic system. Number one is Shariat policy. Number two, economic justice system. And, you didn't mention the third one, sir.
The third one was actually they had a big naval power.
Naval power.
From the navies of Islamic world, the 12 dynasties that ruled from 800 to 1600 AD had a big naval power. The Muslims' navies used to prowl Atlantic to Pacific until Zulu Island in Philippines. It was all Muslim. Canton was a Muslim colony. Chuancho was Muslim colony, had Muslim colonies, and in the 10th century. I have exact details that Muslims control all the 7 choke points, naval choke points in the world. All the 7 naval choke points. ये आजकल के मुसलमानों का कोई कमाल नहीं है कि we are sitting on the 5 choke points. And even today, we are sitting on the 5 naval choke points of the world. We may be very incompetent, we don't have any potential, but we are sitting right there on the 5 choke points. From Malacca to Bab el-Mandeb to Suez Canal, of course, is a recent phenomenon. But then from there to the Strait of Hormuz, and then you have to all the way go all up the up. So, you know, so Muslims, these 3 things, the Chinese studied. The Chinese have not come just suddenly. They have done their homework. We are not doing our homework. We don't know where we are going.
So we have a question from Ambassador Durrani.
Sir, here.
Yes, sir.
Bahut shukriya. Thank you so much. It's very informative and it's quite a learning for me. And my question is regarding Chinese system, Singaporean system you referred to. Those are based on stability, political stability. Come what may, there has to be one party which is ruling and it is guiding. It may have committed mistakes, perhaps, but they have the course correction. They have done it. You cannot apply that in Pakistan. Please come up with a remedy which can sustain a government or a system, at least, not if more, at least for another 40 years. Then, of course, you can expect miracles. But if you have those puppets ruling the country, Puppets can't deliver. So, but those who wield power, they have to actually deliver. And that's very important. So I think I really enjoyed your talk.
Thank you very much.
The last comment from Sarishtiaq and Sarishfaq.
Asif, you say, sir.
I will partly answer this question. बहुत सारी चीजें मैं थोड़ा सा reveal भी कर दूंगा. I think I wrote the forward of this book also. And why I wrote this forward of this book is that when previous Prime Minister, when he came to the power in 2018, this is the month of October 5th, 2018. He called me and he said that you have a lot of experience of writing in poverty alleviation. So I want you to prepare a poverty alleviation strategy for my government. And it should be based on Chinese model. So I never studied before Chinese model, so I said, okay, sir, I will look into this. And he said, you have 3 weeks to prepare. तो थोड़ी सी seriousness का मुझे अंदाज़ा हुआ कि 3 हफ्ते में Chinese model poverty alleviation and he is going to implement as a strategy for Pakistan. But I started studying Chinese model. I took help from Ambassador Saab, and I had a friend who used to work, he was the chief of poverty Asia Pacific region in UNSCAP. So Anil Hassan, Dr. Anil Hassan. So after learning and and reading, I prepared a model. And I sent this paper to him on 13th of November. This is all documented here in my cell phone. And he said, excellent poverty alleviation strategy. And then he started having a brainstorming session with me. So, sir, jo aapne kaha ke, and it was Chinese model, but it was redesigned according to Pakistani system. It was adopted in Pakistani system. उसके बाद सबमिट करने के बाद फिर चिरागों में रोशनी न रही. In other words, we were not serious. ठीक है, तो एक तो ये मैं बताना चाहता हूँ कि किताबों में बहुत सारे लिखे हुए हैं. Are we serious to learn from the experiences of China? In my experience in the government, we are not a serious nation. Believe me. Nobody wants to improve situation in Pakistan. This is my considered and practical experience seeing all these things. तो ये सारी चीजें हैं, हम बहुत कुछ सीख सकते हैं. We can learn from what Chinese has done. कोई ज़रूरी नहीं है कि we have to be a one-party system, a communist party. Through our normal situation, we can learn from this. लेकिन we are not willing to change. Deng Xiaoping से किसी ने पूछा in the mid-90s, an American journalist, he interviewed Deng Xiaoping, and he said that what was the greatest challenge that you faced while introducing reforms? And his answer was to change the mindset of the people of China from top to bottom. Because Chinese knew that they will never progress. ये उनका fate है. Poverty is the fate of China. And he said, I was telling them, no, you have not a potential. You can become a great nation. But this was the most difficult challenge that I faced, to change the mindset. Exactly in Pakistan. So this is another similarity. This is exactly in Pakistan. हम IMF के बगैर जिंदा नहीं रह सकते. सर ऑल्टरनेटिव बताएं. These are the alternatives. Oh no सर, हम तो जिंदा नहीं रह सकते. हमें तो 25 बिलियन चाहिए, तो 75 बिलियन चाहिए, 100 बिलियन चाहिए. हमारे पास तो पैसे नहीं है, तो हमें IMF को गुलामी में रहनी है. ये माइंडसेट को कौन चेंज करेगा? We need another Deng Xiaoping.
Point well taken, sir. It will be the last
Sorry,
question.
just I make a brief comment to you, Ambassador Asif. You know, you have really hit the bull, जैसे कहते हैं. You hit the bull in the eye. You know, this is, but you answered your question yourself. Unless we remove the puppets, unless we think people should have their assets in Pakistan, People should not earn from here and take it abroad. Why? So you have answered your own question. We certainly can make a difference within the system. We were once upon a time, of course, foreign aid funded growth we had. We can do it. We can make it. There is no doubt we can do it. We can make it. Pakistan can become in a position. You just have the team of those people who can see beyond the horizon, see things which others can't see. You make a team of honest professionals. When I talk this, I don't want to talk on this so much. They think that I'm looking for a job. I'm not looking for a job. My children are abroad, they're all well settled. In fact, they can fund me. My pension is not enough maybe. But I don't need any job. But we need to have honest people, committed people, professional people, competent people. I don't know, I was very surprised when Raza asked me to launch this book here. Generally, people don't want to hear tough things, rough things. So Asif, you are right. Dr. Saab, you have already said everything. Let me tell you one piece of inspiration why I wrote this book was exactly the incident that you made me. That I saw that among the 100 success stories of China, poverty alleviation, in my view, comes on the top. Of course, there are many other successes. So when you were thinking about all this and we were discussing, I thought this will be a contribution to let the future generation come to see how China made it.
Ishtiyaq Ali Mekri. This is the last question.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. It's not a question, it's a brief comment. You have talked about economy and reforms. With 100 million people below the poverty line, you have aptly quoted Iqbal several times. So I think the only couplet that we stand to implement is that जिस खेत से मैसर न हो दे खान को रोजी उस खेत के हर गोशे गंदुम को जला दो.
ये कभी पढ़िएगा नहीं क्योंकि लोग वाकई जाके जलाओ घेराव करा शुरू कर देंगे. ऑलरेडी कर रहे हैं. आपको पता मुझे एक इस्लामाबाद से किसी ने कहा कि यार ये कैपिटल पता नहीं क्यों ले आए हम यहाँ तो रोजाना धरना होता है. तो यू सी ये पीपल हैव स्टार्टेड क्वेश्चनिंग a lot of things. इसीलिए मैंने अपनी किताब में कहीं वो नहीं लिखा. मैंने अपने इकबाल का वो शेर लिखा है गरीबों की हिमायत करना है मेरा काम गरीबों की. हालांकि वो मेरा आया जैसे जोश पाकिस्तान में जो जोश में अमूमन यही होता है ना कि जिस खेत से दहकान को मैसर न हो रोजी उस खेत के हर खोशा गंदुम को जला दो. मैंने कहा अगर मैंने लिखा तो वाकई जलाने पे शुरू कर देंगे. तो बट देन देयर इज ए लॉजिक टू दैट. अगर आप खेत के खोशे को जलाते हैं तो वो गंदुम फिर से बेहतर उगता है अगले साल. ये तो है. ये तो पॉल्यूशन का जो मसला है इस पंजाब वेस्ट पंजाब में वो खोशा गंदुम को जलाने से है. तो इसलिए लेकिन मैं बड़ा ये मैंने कहा कि बच्चों को हो मेरा काम गरीबों की हिमायत करना दर्दमंदों से ज़ईफ़ों से मोहब्बत करना. So this is much more softer.
Thank you so much, sir, for your insightful answers, and thank you all for your questions. I would now request President IPRI, Ambassador Dr. Raza Mohammed, to deliver his concluding remarks.
I know there were many questions which are pending. During the tea break, I request you to approach the worthy author, Ambassador Javed Hassan, and ask the questions from him. Sir, you made a very interesting remark on life after death and life before death. Wonderful, wonderful. But in our Muslims' prayers, the dua which we read says, Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanatum wa fil akhirati hasanatum. So the word, Allah has also said the better life in this world is important for better life of the after death.
Absolutely.
So I subscribe to your view, sir. It is important to have good life before death. About scholars and Aristotle, two things came to my mind. When Aristotle said that no, there's only one God, he was declared atheist and given poison to die. made to drink poison to die. I saw a movie and read a book also, Agora. It's old Greek. There's a lady who dares to become a scholar, and she starts teaching philosophy, astronomy, astrology to the students, and she gathers few students. The other scholars get jealous, and she is ultimately declared a witch and burnt alive. So this was the Greece. Scholars have been meeting this. About the socialism with Chinese characteristics, I think it is a very deep philosophy which we need to understand. Deng Xiaoping was very, very wise person. I read a book on him by Azra Vogel. It's a very big, thick book. Deng Xiaoping sent 300 plus delegations to the world before he started taking reforms agenda on. People went around all over the world, brought back the experiences, and that is how he started reforming the country. And I think he and President Xi Jinping have many similarities, in my opinion. Xi Jinping is a visionary leader. He gave the vision of Belt and Road Initiative, which is not a small thing. It has changed the fate of the world, especially those countries which were somewhere in the backyard of the world, like Africa and so many other Asian countries, which were suffering through poverty and which were kept poor actually. The Africa especially, it was being exploited post-colonization also. Neo-colonization was exploiting it. I think China has come to help them out. About Shanghai, we were on a visit in 2007 or 8. I was one of the instructors in the National Defense University, and we went on a visit with a delegation. Incidentally, UK brigadier and USA brigadier made their best attempt to be in that delegation. They were picked and they were actually put in that delegation. They told us that they perhaps would never be able to visit China otherwise. And we were in Shanghai and we were having the night cruise for the dinner. The American brigadier remarked it not once, twice. After seeing the night life and night silhouette of the Shanghai, he said, if this is what the socialism can do to a country, I'm for it. So it is not democracy, it is not socialism, it is the policies. And when you ask Chinese, you don't have democracy, they said democracy's biggest expression is lifting of 800 people out of poverty. We have lifted them. They have good life. They have equal life. They have equal opportunities to others. The Chinese tourists and students, sir, now hundreds of thousands go out and come back. They don't seek asylum because their country is good. Their country is livable. Their country makes them happy. As he is saying, they smile. Wealth creation is very, very important for any country. In Pakistan, unfortunately, wealth creation has become a taboo, perhaps. And we have made it much more difficult because of our policies. Because of our policies, because of the, what you say, sir, always, what he is saying, IMF and so many other conditionalities, which are putting the shackles around you and shackle around the progression, shackle around the creation of wealth, and shackles around creation of jobs and other opportunities which could lift our countries out of poverty. Sir, I'm very grateful to you that you took time out. Very grateful that you spoke your heart out. Thank you so much. And I hope that we have lots of potential. As you say, sir, we are willing to learn or know. I don't have any answer to this. But may Allah bless us with leaders like Deng Xiaoping, Xi Jinping, or even from our own history, Prophet ﷺ and our Khulafai Rashideen, who can actually end the poverty. If you remember, sir, Hazrat Umar too, During his time, there was no person in the country who could accept zakat or alms or khairat. So that is what we need, actually. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Before I depart,
Thank you, the great audience, and especially I can't name everyone, but Dr. Ashfaq, Cyril Saab, our Turkish embassy friend, General Farouk, आप तशरीफ लाए, ambassador, the Chinese guests, आपके लिए आप कोयटा से तशरीफ लाए. Thank you so much for everyone, and of course Zahir Kazmi is here, very welcome, and everyone else. If I haven't named anyone, sorry, but most welcome. Thank you so much. God bless you all.
Before I depart, I just wanted to add, the Chinese sent 2 dozen study teams to Pakistan.
Yes.
And I gave them visas because I was responsible for visas. They gave 2 dozen study teams came to Pakistan to learn from 1980 to 1987. More may have come after that. Another thing that I wanted to add, somebody asked what the 3 lessons, the 3 lessons from Muslim history that they learned. Of course, the 3 they learned, but they learned many more lessons too. One lesson they learned, and they told me also, I just wanted to share with that countries only progress with middle class. So you have to create a middle class. In China, there was no middle class. In China, there was no middle class in 1979-80. It was a rich class, it was a Communist Party class, and then it was the rest of the people. So from Muslim history, they found that the middle class in Muslim history remained the pioneering, trend-setting, the middle class. So Chinese now have the largest middle class in the world at the moment. So I don't know how many things you will continue to hear, but read the book, you will learn it.
Thank you, Excellency. Now, President will present the mementos to our honorable guest.